The sound of rain tapped softly against the glass windows of a small cafe on the corner of Brighton Avenue. The smell of roasted coffee and fresh pastries filled the air, mixing with the distant hum of city traffic outside. It was one of those gray afternoons that made people hurry home, their umbrellas tilted against the drizzle. Inside the cafe, however, a quiet story was about to begin, one that would change several lives in ways no one could have predicted. Emily Carter worked behind the counter that day, her auburn hair pulled into a neat bun, her blue eyes heavy with the fatigue of another long shift. At 27, Emily had learned to live with struggle. She worked 2 jobs, this cafe by day, and a small grocery store by night to cover her younger brother's college tuition and their late father's debts. There were no vacations, no luxuries, not even time for herself. But she didn't complain. She believed that hard work, even when unseen, mattered. The rain had picked up when a tall man in a dark trench coat walked into the cafe. He shook the water from his sleeves and approached the counter with a tired but polite smile. "Just a black coffee, please," he said, his voice calm but distant, as though his thoughts were somewhere far away. Emily nodded and prepared his drink. The man took a seat near the window, setting down a leather briefcase by his side. From his tailored suit and gold watch, he looked like someone who had never worried about bills or double shifts. An hour passed. The cafe grew quieter as customers left one by one. Emily began wiping down tables, humming faintly to herself. That's when she noticed it, the same leather briefcase still by the window seat. The man was gone. She rushed to the door, peering out into the rainy street, but he had vanished. She sighed and brought the briefcase behind the counter, intending to turn it in later. Curiosity tugged at her for a moment. She opened it just slightly to see if there was a business card inside. What she saw instead made her freeze. Inside were stacks of neatly bundled cash, hundreds of bills, perhaps tens of thousands of dollars, and a folder stamped with official seals. A single envelope rested on top, marked private and confidential. Emily's first thought wasn't temptation. It was fear. She had never seen so much money in her life. She immediately called her manager, who told her to keep it safe until the next morning when they could call the police. Emily locked the briefcase in the cafe's safe, wrote a note, and finished her shift. But what she didn't know was that this single act of honesty would send her life spiraling through a storm of accusation, loss, and unexpected redemption. The next morning, Emily arrived early, only to find 2 police officers standing inside the cafe talking to her manager. The briefcase had been reported missing, and the man who owned it, Mr. Benjamin Rhodes, was a powerful corporate lawyer known across the city. Emily stepped forward, explaining how she had found it. But the moment she mentioned that she had opened it to check for ID, suspicion flickered in the manager's eyes. The officers took her statement, politely but left with a cold professionalism that made her uneasy. Later that afternoon, her manager called her into the office. He avoided eye contact as he spoke. "Emily, Mr. Rhodes claims the money inside was short by $5,000. Her stomach dropped. "What?" she said, her voice trembling. "I didn't take anything. I only opened it to find his name." The manager sighed. "I want to believe you, but this is serious. Until things are cleared up, we have to let you go." It felt like the world collapsed in that moment. Fired, accused, shamed for doing what she thought was right. She walked home under the rain, her jacket soaked through, tears blending with the drizzle. By the time she reached her small apartment, she felt hollow. Her brother, Daniel, looked up from his books when she walked in. She forced a smile. "Everything's fine," she lied. But that night, while he slept, she sat by the window, staring out at the rain and wondering how honesty could lead to ruin. Across town, Benjamin Rhodes sat in his corner office, staring at the city skyline. The rain blurred the lights outside. His assistant entered with a file, quietly saying, "Sir, the cafe called again. The girl who found your briefcase? She's been fired. Apparently, she was accused of taking the money." Benjamin frowned, the words echoing in his mind. Something didn't sit right. He was meticulous with his finances. The missing amount might have been a miscount. But firing her? That felt wrong. 2 days later, Benjamin visited the cafe himself. The manager looked surprised and nervous. "We've already dealt with the employee, sir," he said. We terminated her to maintain our reputation. Benjamin's eyes narrowed. You fired the only person who returned my briefcase? His tone carried quiet authority. Do you even realize what that